Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr. How are you doing today, beautiful? And welcome to today's Should You Pull video for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In today's video we're going to be talking about Celes and her brand new FR and BT, as well as the returns of both Thancred and Zidane along with their reworks, and the new 6-man quest that's going to be coming along with them. So if you want to find out more about the tankiness that is Celes and the event that comes with her, then of course, as always, stay tuned and keep on watching. Before we get started, of course, don't forget to check out all of my social links in the description box below. Over on Twitch, I'm actually paring back my streaming just a little bit over the next few days so that I can concentrate on video work and doing more videos in the direction of the things that I want to be taking things. So you'll have plenty of videos to look forward to, and I will be coming back with a vengeance later on this week. I'll be doing some Smash Bros and FF10, on Thursday, and then on Saturday I'll be doing a marathon stream for Pokemon Scarlet, which is very exciting. I'm very excited for Pokemon. I'm sure a lot of you probably don't know that I really like Pokemon, so it'll be a really good time to share that with all of you guys, and maybe we can get some VGC games going on later down the line, who knows. Over on Patreon, I do always shout out one of my patrons every time I release a video, and today that person is going to be Halcyon, who has been one of my patrons for a really long time now, and a massive thank you goes out to you. And they've got Roxas on their title card, so it doesn't have to be a Final Fantasy character if you wanted a title card made just for you, and if you do, as well as all the other benefits that comes with being one of my patrons, you're welcome to check out the link in the description box below to see if you fancy joining up on Patreon. And of course, don't forget to check out all the other resources and creators for OO as well. So let's go ahead and check out what's on offer with the banners. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I have already recorded this video once as well as another one, only to discover that my microphone didn't work, so I've had to re-record them all over again. So that's always fun. But anyways, here we are with the banners. There's two here, the first of which is going to offer all of Celes' gear, including her brand new FR and BT, as well as bringing along Thancred and his rework, and Aiko, as well as her Force Awakening as well. And then the second banner is going to contain Celes' FR only, and then Zidane's BT and the rest of his kit, as well as Kadaj and Waka. So first things first, we're going to have a look at Thancred and Zidane. So first things first, thank you to Mediu over on Reddit for these translations. Thancred's rework it would be really good if we got it 6 months ago. But unfortunately, Thancred's kind of always been on the back burner in Dissidia, and because of the changes to the way we play the game, the way he plays doesn't really fit with it. So he gets more skill uses of his poisoning attacks, he gets more HP dumps across the board, he now has the ability where he's getting an extra HP, like mini dump, after all of his attacks. He's also gaining more bravery than the amount he takes from the enemies, like Golbez did back in the day. But realistically, all that he actually gets is extra HP dumps on some of his stuff and just a bit more HP damage, which on the BT-less LD character, you got to be bringing it if you're there just to deal damage. And because of the fact that his EX, awakened, bravery attack, the Brave Plus, is an instant turn 2 HP dumping attack, which in and of itself is reworked, and his trick attack is also a HP attack with instant turn rate, it just doesn't play very well with Force Time, and it's really sad because one of these days I really want to see Thancred just elevate himself to great heights, and it's just never happened for him yet, and it really makes me sad. Zidane gets nothing from this update. It's honestly, as annoyed as I am for Thancred, I'm even more so for Zidane, because I think Zidane's kit is so well-rounded as a jack of all trades type thing. He heals, he batteries, he eliminates turns, he's got instant turn stuff if he wants it, he launches, he does so many different things that he could be an incredible character if he wasn't given the bare minimum every update he gets. So all he gets here is some extra skill uses, which realistically he didn't really need, and a couple of extra HP dumps, but not really enough for it to matter. It's just really aggravating to see such a favourite character get so little so frequently. So now moving on to the main attraction, we have Celes. Now Celes does get a rework here, but she actually got one fairly recently with her C90. But it's surprising quite how much she gets from this. So Runic is now a 4 HP dumping attack, which is fine for a tank. The Runic ability, Brave Magic Absorb, now gives physical Brave damage reduction to party and changes the magical Brave damage reduction to 80% for the other party members. And this is very relevant when we get to her BT effect. Her Shine Edge doesn't really change. It's a 3 HP dumping attack that heals your party. The LD changes. It gets another skill use, which means she's now the second character to get 5 skill uses out of her LD rather than 4, like Auron. She's got AoE 100% damage. She recovers a use of both of her skills. This is predominantly so that she always has access to her skills during her burst phase if you decide to use it. And then the Magitech Ice ability, that's the trap or off-turn trap that comes after enemy turns while she has this active, is now hitting for 3 HP dumps and does 50% splash damage. It also heals as well, which is a really nice thing to see on any tank. And because of the fact that she's got so many auras, she's got all these tanky abilities, she's got really like a nice niche with Runic as well. This is already a good start. And then Spinning Edge gets updated, which is her EX, to hit 7 times. And then Rune Knight, which is her ability that enchants the party for ice as well, now gets the ability that it extends any debuffs inflicted by Celes by 2 actions, which of course includes the Magitech Ice block, so that's really nice as well. And then you get Party Brave gains, never gonna sniff at those, all good stuff here. So realistically, like even without her FR and BT, you've got a usable tank in Celes, like straight away. She counters for the same amount of damage as your Aurons and your Galoof. Well, maybe not Galoof, but she counters the same amount of damage as your Aurons and Gladios, etc. And she has her unique niche, and her on-turn damage, like her EX, actually hits pretty hard. She elevates herself pretty significantly though with her FR and her BT. So her FR also inflicts her Magitech Ice to all enemies for 6 turns, 8 turns because of her buff. And then she gets Barsh as her partner, which I actually really like, Celes and Barsh together. I think that's really cool. And then when a turn passes with a character selecting an ice command, or if an ice attack is triggered outside of her own turn, so 5% if it's anyone else, 25% if it's coming from her, when absorbing a brave attack from an enemy, another 20%, when a turn passes with self-selecting an attack command against an enemy targeting her, another 20%. Or targeting self, rather, so that affects the party. This is very much geared for off-turn compositions, but even more so than that, it's geared very well to allow Celes to just solo things, because all 3 of those things will trigger very frequently if Celes is the only character on the board. So if the enemy's not, like, absorbing ice, which we are in Elemental Lockout at the moment, that is a factor, then you could happily, as long as you have her entire kit, her BT very much plays into this, you could happily take Celes to solo a surprisingly large amount of content if it's stuff that wants off-turn damage or wants enemies to take turns. She eats it alive, like she's very powerful for it. And this is exemplified even further with her BT weapon, which is Save the Queen, which means I have to have it because it's called Save the Queen. And, you know, Beatrix has Save the Queen, so we have to have it, regardless of anything else. So this increases all of the relevant stats that you want it to: Brave damage, HP damage, Brave cap up, HP cap up, Brave gains, more HP damage reduction, so solid HP damage reduction to go with all the other stuff that she's got as well. And it also changes all enemies' attacks type to magic. So this is basically stealing Leon's niche and making it 90% of the time better, because Leon, like, while he makes it so your whole party absorbs dark, and Celes only actually does the absorption for herself through Runic, so that is something to Leon's favour. She basically makes it so that all enemy attack types change to magic. So element, what Leon doesn't do is add dark to already elemental attacks, like Lulu does for fire. Leon doesn't do that. Celes doesn't have to, because she's changing their attack type, not their element. So, in all fairness, as long as you're letting the enemies take a load of the turns and you have her FR and her BT aura up, it's going to be very, very hard for them to damage you at all, and then you're countering practically the entire time that you're doing it. So you can get a lot of solid damage, solid defenses, all through Celes. Now, do you need to have Celes? Well, there's a lot of tanks out there now that people have at least access to one of them. Like, Gladio is still a phenomenal character, particularly alongside like his best bud Core. You've got your Galoof, who's going to come back around with his force enhancements with Dorgan. There's lots of characters you can take for this, but Celes, I think, has a leg up on them in the regard that she has a BT. She has a BT effect, she has auras that other characters can take advantage of, so therefore she has a leg up on them just from that alone. Is she going to be beating out Gladio Core like in every fight? Probably not, but that's only because she has elemental damage, and in elemental lockout content there is going to be times where ice damage isn't useful to you. But there's a lot to really like about Celes. Her healing is crazy powerful. Her defenses are crazy powerful. Like, even if she's the only character that can absorb magic damage, she's making it so that you're taking 80% less bravery damage from enemies without even trying if her BT's effect's active, because they're all magic damage. And then if you wanted to solo stuff with her, it's very, very easy to do. So now let's take a look at the event that comes along with Celes here, and we have another 6 warrior quest here, which is going to involve the Rampage Machine and the Optimus. Now, so the Rampage Machine, many times I get horrible flashbacks back to Sid from FF7's first event here from from Dissidia Opera Omnia, and that always gives me PTSD. But it's a very different kind of fight here. It is fairly mechanics heavy, but not because of its force time. It's a very interesting one. So first things first, there's no immunity to delay, delete, launch, anything. So if you wanted to, yes, you can trivialize this completely with your Renoas and your Tifas, etc., if you so chose. But there are mechanics in here that you're going to want to bear in mind. So first things first, it charges the FR gauge instantaneously. So as soon as you get in the fight, there's an FR gauge there, which you'll be met with a AoE Brave HP attack, and then 5 turns of their force time, where they will warp turns after every turn you take. So you're going to want to bring a tank along here, or somebody at the beginning of the fight that can take that first hit and then heal back up again. You can use a Setzer call or something along those lines to make it so that they don't deal damage to you within those first few turns. In fact, Arciela is another mention here for her call ability, like preventing HP damage and then making it so they can't gain bravery with her LD call later on. If you wanted to do it that way, that's a really strong way of doing it. So with the force time itself, the only thing you need to worry about here is all elemental damage other than ice is completely resisted, so you're going to want some ice enchant somewhere along the line. And they have a really powerful attack and initial bravery down, like aura, that makes it so that even if you are hitting for ice damage, you're not going to be hitting very hard. So you're going to want to bring every offensive buff you've got, every defensive debuff you've got, and like stack those nasty like debuffs like Fran or Seymour, stack them all because you're going to want them so that you're dealing damage. Although that aura does fall off if you use, I think Celes FR is the only one, but an ice damage dealing FR attack that inflicts a bravery, that inflicts a debuff. So that's something you're going to want to do. I think maybe Cannonaut could do it if you've got an E-Sphere on him. I'd have to double check that he can have an E-Sphere, but that might be a way of doing it as well. So that's something you could consider, but that's the only way you can realistically get rid of that aura. The only other thing you really need to worry about are the threshold-based attacks. So every 20%, both of these guys will deal a AoE Brave HP attack. However, the Rampage Machine in particular, you want to keep an eye on, because between 80 and 60% and 40 and 20%, it gets a red aura, which if it gets a turn during the time where it has this aura, it will wipe your party, no questions asked. So what I think the game is wanting you to do here is use Celes to kind of block off all of the the onslaught, the initial onslaught, and then use Zidane to make it so that the Rampage Machine doesn't get a turn again after that point. So that's what it's wanting you to do. You don't have to do it with those characters at all. Like, you can use Zidane, you can use a Mid-Italian, you can use Minwoo, though bear in mind Minwoo does holy damage, so he's not going to be your damage dealer. There's lots of ways of removing the Rampage Machine from the equation. And then as long as you're not letting the enemies take turns, you can use a well-placed Raijin or Reno LD call to make it so that the threshold attacks don't hit you, because they're not actually turn-warping mechanics. So past that, honestly, you just want to hit as hard as you physically can, so bring your Kurosame LD calls, certainly for the Ice Enchant if you're not using Celes, you know, your Frans, your Seymour, all of that stuff, just so that you can inflict as much damage during your force time as physically possible, and you should be fine. So now let's jump straight into Would You Pull, the section of the video where you guys get your chance to let everyone know whether you're pulling on a banner. And a big thank you, of course, to all of my patrons and to DissidiaCompanion.com, of course, for the previous information on the event. This banner I'm a little, perplexed by. I honestly expected the pull rate to be higher. However, as you will see with the comments that we have here, I'm going to read them one after the other because I want to see if you guys can see a trend that's coming on that I'm going to comment on. But let's go into numbers first. 38% of people said they were going in with gems, 29% of people said they're going in with 100 or more tickets, 5% of people said less than 100 tickets, and 29% of people said no. I'm surprised at quite how many people have said no here. I thought more people were going to pull here. But, like I said, I'm going to go and read these comments one after the other and see what you think, and then I'll come back and touch on some of the other stuff that they've said. So, Starscud Redux says, I'll give her the tickets from her events reward. Should be a nice addition to the collection, but I'm sure, but not having enough ingots to max makes pulling less enticing. Perhaps if they lowered all the drop rates, they'll have a go, but currently after some bad luck and back-to-back pities, I only have enough gems to pity 2 BTs, and I've got a plan for Jack and anything in the future. Sorry, Celes. J-Dog says, I love Celes as a character, and I also love trap tank playstyles. I unfortunately just pity 2 PTs, Tifa and Minwoo. I did the same thing. So my gem stash is dwindling. We're at the point that moving forward, nearly every FR is excellent, especially paired with a BT character like Celes. I'll spend tickets here, but even if I manage to pull her BT, I don't have the resources to green it. And then finally, Chamberlain Skexis says, I've been a Celes fan in this game since we got her LD and a mega fan after her C90. But I won't be pulling for her. Her damage is great, her FR is great, and her trap is, she's a trap healer. She's just great. My only problem is that she's a BT unit, so maxing her out is going to require more books and ingots than I have. If you want a super solid magic tank, she's the one for you. Thancred's here too, and he's pretty good. A nice little kit to pick up if you like 14, but I won't go out of my way to pull for him. Aiko is a must-have, even though we're still in elemental lockout, as her LD provides party, holy, and chart and HP damage up into a counter heal that triggers whenever a party member falls below 50% HP. It's a very powerful LD to keep under your belt. So, now that I've read all of those one after the other, what's the trend that you see there? And I definitely do find this annoying myself as well. It's the lack of ingots and books. We're at this point now where, what's the point in releasing so many busted characters if we have no way of actually using them to their full capacity if we were to pull for them? I'm not saying that we should be able to do every single BT. There should be an element of like picking your favourites and going between them. But it completely removes the idea of, oh, this character seems quite cool, I'd quite like to give them a try, and therefore pull for them, and, you know, perhaps make the game some money doing it, when there's just no point, because you can't accumulate enough books and ingots to do it. And I think that that's quite sad, in a way. Like, I'm like, that's definitely food for thought. I will probably use tickets on Celes' banner for her FR, but I'm actually planning on gemming Dorgan because I love FF5, so if I get her BT either here or there, and depending on how my tickets look by the end of it, I might go for Aranea as well because I really like her too. But I think it's sad that with BT units, there's just no way of going, yeah, do you know what, I'd quite like to give that a go. You either have to go in knowing you're going to go for it or knowing you're not, and that, I don't know if I like that. But to counterpoint some of the other things I said, I will disagree with one thing that's said here by Chamberlain Skexis in that Aiko is a must-have. With all due respect, I completely disagree with this. I've never thought Aiko was a must-have. I think she was very good for players who started the game around the time that she came out, because they would have like been able to pick up her when like Garnet was coming around, Alize was coming around. It was a nice character to like carry you through early events. But I don't understand how one can think that Aiko is a must-have when Minwoo is sitting there. Like, Minwoo does pretty much everything she does, except for the revival mechanic, which realistically you shouldn't be falling into, better. Like, he heals better. Like, he hits way harder. He's got turn deletion. I disagree that Aiko is a must-have, but other people may feel differently, and I'd be interested to see how you guys feel. And I like the fact that you feel differently from me, and it's why I like to make these polls and give people the voice that they have. But I do think that the typical kind of vibe is that we don't have enough resources outside of gems and tickets to pull for the things that we want to try out. So, should you pull for Celes, or Zidane or Thancred? In the case of Zidane and Thancred, I think it's a pretty solid no, honestly. Zidane's been done dirty countless times. Like, he's always kinda good, but never quite good enough. And Thancred, honestly, like, I mean, yeah, you can use either of them, but I wouldn't go out of my way to pull for them, let's put it that way. Celes I actually think is very good. Like, any new FR BT unit that comes out is typically fantastic, and this is no different. She does massive trap damage, Tanking, she does really well. She's got a massive healing suite. She's even stolen Leon's niche away from him somewhat, and kind of done it better, allowing her runic to absorb every attack that enemies do and reducing the damage heavily for your other party members. And because she has a BT with the auras that you want, she has a leg up on other tanks, because you've got the HP cap ups, you've got all of the nice buffs that you'd expect from a BT aura that the likes of Auron and, you know, Galoof and Gladio don't have. But she's mainly, like, the big thing for her is because of the big suite that she has, a lot of players for JP version like using her to solo clear stuff. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into, then you probably want to pick up Celes. She is, however, locked to ice damage, and she enchants a party for it, so while we're in lockout content, you might want to be careful of that. And I'd also say that her BT phase is fairly underwhelming compared to, like, a more dedicated damage dealer. I love having BT, like, units that aren't damage dealers, because then I can take LD only damage dealers and not feel like I'm missing a BT aura. So there is that, and of course you get a BT phase by carrying Celes, and that's always nice. But typically, if you're going to be greening it, you're going to be doing it for the solo BT attack, just to get that aura on, and then letting the enemy do all the work for you. Which, in an ever-shrinking resource drought, amongst an ever-growing BT count, maybe that's too much for you, or me, or anyone who's watching. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you ever so much for watching. Of course, let me know in the comments below whether you'll be pulling for Celes or even Zidane and Thancred. Let me know if you guys are actually excited for those two as well. Hopefully this will be the second time than the last time I have to film this video and I don't end up with more technical issues. My computer's been playing havoc with me recently and I don't know what's quite going on with that. But yes, thank you ever so much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications of any future videos I might be making. And that's going to be it from me. Take care, everyone. See you soon.